The Canik Mete MC9 is the latest entry into the ultra-compact pistol market with outstanding capacity. Coming in at a very similar size to the Glock 43X, it gives you a 15+1 or a 12+1 capacity, depending on the magazine you want to run with, in a size that you can walk around with all day and feel very comfortable. Now, with previous Canik compact offerings being a little bit bloated or a little bit chunky, especially on the slide, is this finally the right blend of what has made Canik a favorite of many people in a size that we actually want to carry around all day in the waistband? And that is the question we are going to be tackling today with the Canik Mete MC9. The Canik Mete MC9. A lot of people have been waiting for this pistol to come out because Canik finally gave us something a little bit more slim and trim than their previous compact offerings with this, which is much more similar to the size of a Glock 43X or a SIG 365XL, something in that size category, but giving you all the things that you like about the Canik and what they have done recently with their offerings of pistols. Out on the range, the first thing you notice when grabbing the Mete MC9 is it is so much thinner than the previous compact offerings from Canik directly. Now this one hit the mark for exactly what I was looking for in the compact or slimline or micro, whatever they're calling it these days. The grip and texture on here is just absolutely great. It is that sandpaper style, which is aggressive without being abrasive to your skin if you're gonna wear it in the waistband. Now the location, the design, and the size of all the controls on this thing, from the magazine release to the slide stop slide release, the takedown lever, and the trigger, just seem to be in the perfect spot and the perfect size. Now there is going to be a slight double undercut on the trigger guard. That will help you mitigate recoil impulse because you're able to get just a little bit higher on that grip, and overall has a great feel in the hand and just runs quite well. The trigger, of course, from Canik is solid. They've done a great job with all of their triggers, and it was easy for them because they basically took the Walther trigger design, gave it a polish job, changed out a spring or two, so that's why it turned out so good for them on the first couple of times. Now, we will do some trigger pulls and check that trigger out up close in just a few minutes. But just so you know up front, not only the feel of the trigger tactile-wise itself, but the break and the reset are just exceptional, and to me, probably best in its class for this size of pistol right now. Out on the range, I ran the typical 115 grain, some 124 NATO, and critical duty through it without a single problem, which is pretty much what I had expected having run Caniks before. I will say that 15 round magazine fits just right, even for a larger hand, has a great feel to it. However, you will in the box get a little pinky extension for that 12 rounder. And even that 12 rounder just fits very, very well on the hand for us people with larger hands, and really does help you control this pistol just a little bit better. And of course, it has some really good option, which Canik is known for giving us at an extremely great price right out of the box. And those are gonna be good metal sights in the way of a completely darked out rear and just a bold white dot front. I'm a huge fan of having blacked out rears and some kind of dot in the front, so it just works for me. These sights are able to be used with your modern optics like this HoloSun EPS, which Optics Planet sent out. Again, huge thanks to them. But even your other optics will fit on here with the ability to use the factory sights due to how deep the RMSc style cut is into the slide from the factory. Now make sure you check out the parts list for this if you are interested in anything here. And of course, something will be there for Optics Planet to help you guys out in case you want to pick anything up. Now this thing will also have front and rear serrations, which are going to work just fine. Whether you want to work this thing from the front of the slide or from the rear, those serrations are going to do everything you need them to do. Now I did run this pistol out to 75 yards and it is very capable, which is no surprise. So we'll go ahead and check that footage out right now. All right, so it's time to do some of the shoot at distances pistols were not meant for. So Canik Mete MC9, I do have the HoloSun EPS carry on here, but we are going to be shooting at that yellow target over there. I'll zoom in here for you so you can see where it is. That yellow one right there on the end. So people will say, I wouldn't shoot there because your truck's there. If you hit this truck while aiming at that target, you need to pack it up for the day. So we're gonna go ahead and load up, make ready. I'm gonna stand right here. We're gonna start at 25 and then we're gonna move out to probably 75 and see if we can get a 100 in here. But let's go ahead and do the first shot from 25. All right, well, that was just too easy. So we're gonna go ahead and move back to the 50. And I'm gonna keep recording because we don't want nobody cheating, right? Because people often say, well, show your target. Well, we're just gonna do it this way because this way it makes it nice and easy for everybody because I've pre-marked out what we're shooting at. So, all right. We'll get set up. You can see same target, same everything. I'll get a little corner in the camera here. All right, 50 yards. Off to the left. All right. So I was a little high and left. We're gonna go back to 75. We'll just have some fun back at the 75-yard line with this one. All right. I did mark these out, but there is a wash back here, so kind of got to be a little bit careful. There we are. Okay. Okay. So 75 yards, Canik MC9, whatever the heck it's called. You can barely see that target because it's yellow. It just ain't that hard. Now for the size of the Canik Mete pistol, I will say whether you're using the 12 round with a pinky extension or that full size magazine, it just runs exceptionally well. Whether you're doing transition drills from target to target, maybe doing a build drill, or even shooting at those longer distances. Everything from the angles of it, the ergonomics, the controls, and of course that trigger just come together in an extremely nice package to not only make you run this thing a little bit faster for its size, but definitely very accurately as long as you're paying attention to your fundamentals. Overall, it ran super smooth. It was easy to mitigate that recoil, even though it's a very short slide and barrel on there, but it also seemed to just return to zero extremely well. Now, what I mean by return to zero, if you don't know, is after you pull that trigger and the slide does the cycle of operation, it seems that it just returns right to exactly where you were aiming on that target. Now that has to do not only with the ergonomics, but just how well the thing does soak up the recoil. And of course, your grip is going to play a large part in that. But it just seems to be that for the size of the pistol that it is, it does operate and return to zero much better than some other things in its size class. Now we have to talk about the overall specs of the MC9, and then we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And one thing that I really does think that needs to be addressed when it comes to the Mete MC9. And then of course, after the specs, we will do those trigger pulls, which I know all of you guys want to see, where the trigger's pulling at, how long the reset is, all that good stuff when it comes to the Canik trigger. So spec-wise, you know this is going to be a striker-fired polymer 9mm pistol. This is going to be in that micro or ultra compact slimline design. There are so many different names out there for compacts right now, you could get lost. It will come with 2 steel magazines. One does have a changeable base plate to get that pinky extension. I do wish it was 3, but we get 2. And at the price point, it's livable. You get interchangeable back straps, and you get an in-battery or cocked indicator on the rear so you know that you are ready to roll. It is going to be optics ready, direct to slide in the SMSc cut. You will have a loaded chamber indicator across the top, front and rear serrations, pick rail with multiple slots out front for your mini bayonets or light needs, ambi slide stop slide release, reversible magazine release, standard takedown lever up front, which is easy to operate and use, and it will be nitride, but this one is Cerakote covered, so you know that even when the Cerakote wears, you're not going to have any problem with corrosion or rust. Now for my full spec army, I know you need to see that sheet with a little bit of music. All right, now make sure you let me know down below what style of music you would like to hear on the next spec sheet. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a good up close look at the Canik trigger. But first we're gonna talk about what you actually get with this pistol. So Canik is pretty well known for what they come with. You're gonna get your cleaning kit, you're gonna get a couple of back straps, you're gonna get a tool. There's all kinds of little screws and everything up here in this little micro Canik looking pistol. Those will be for the optics plate. You'll get your manuals and everything right here on this side. And then, as you can see here, you're gonna get a little holster. It's not bad, it'll do the job. It's not the best, but it will get you started. Lock, reloader. You'll get your optic cover plate, which will come on it. And this thing had to be like wrenched off with a screwdriver, so be very careful when you take that off. And then the base plate, which I've already changed out to the one on the magazine with the pinky rest on there. It does have traction on it, but it will have the flat one on it when you come from the factory. And then you get the 15 rounder as well. So only 2 mags with it, but when we start talking about price, you'll probably be okay with that. So let's go ahead and start talking about this trigger. Do a couple of pull tests here. So you can see it's that same design that they've got on all the rest of their pistols with the red trigger shoe safety that does go all the way flush in there. You've got nice grooves on the side of the trigger. So it's not the shortest take up, right? But once you hit that wall, very, very solid and just a great break. It is clean, it is tactile, like very good, especially for a smaller pistol. Reset is very short, very audible, very tactile, and again, hard wall right there and just a break. So it is just a solid trigger, especially for something that is this small. So we'll go ahead and do 3 trigger pulls. We're going to use my mechanical gauge because the digital one seems to be reading just weird all over the place. So I'm going back to the mechanical one for a little bit here. So, all right, the break on that first one, that's going to be right at about 4.5 pounds, almost dead nuts, maybe a hair over. And remember, I'm looking at this thing through a camera screen, so it's a little bit tough to see exactly where it is sometimes. All right, that next one was just a hair lighter. I want to say that one's going to be right about 4 pounds and 2.4, about 6 ounces on that one. And then we'll go again. All right. And that one came out even a little bit lighter on that pull, about 4 pounds and just over 4 ounces, as you can see right there. So you're looking at the back edge of the gauge right there where that little arm is. So not bad overall. Again, we'll take another quick look at that trigger here. You can see just great break, phenomenal reset, and overall is just a very solid trigger in this Canik Mete MC9. Let's go ahead and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to the MC9. So Canik has a very good reputation for being durable, reliable, and having an outstanding trigger. Again, because they took that design from Walther, did some polish work, cleaned it up just a little bit. But overall, the shootability, reliability, and accuracy of the MC9 is just phenomenal. And I don't say that lightly, but I've done several Canik videos. I've always borrowed them from my friends. And this is the first one where I had to go out and buy this thing because I want to keep it in my collection because it just felt and ran that good. And it's the size that I have been waiting for Canik to come out with. Even though there is all that good stuff when it comes to the Canik, there's one thing I would have liked to have seen a little bit better or more of, and one thing that I think really needs to be looked at. The thing I would like to see more of is that grip texture. So you can see it's nice, it's sandpaper, but I would like to have seen it all the way up into the grip area up here and around for more traction, maybe up here on the front side of that frame, because all of that additional texture on here would just help you control it a little bit more. However, if you've got larger hands, you can really pretty much get your thumb from your offhand up into the area of that rail. So that will help give you a little bit more leverage to control the pistol. But honestly, I think it would have just been a little bit nicer if they'd have carried that texture up higher. The only thing functionally that I did notice on the MC9 is it seems to be a little bit of an issue with the magazine release. And what I mean by that, if I'm not on the frame or the grip at all, that magazine just flies out. However, if I even have 2 fingers putting pressure on there, sometimes it'll come out and then other times it won't. It'll just get stuck like that, depending on the pressure. So even if my finger's not there, the magazine will just stick. Even if I only have 1 or 2 fingers, and I'll make sure my finger is not on the extension, it just gets stuck. So I know that there were a couple of different iterations of the magazine release on here, but also it's just rubbing on the sides of the mag very, very tightly, both on the 15 and the 12 round mag. Again, if you don't have a hand on the grip, flies out of there, but even just a couple of fingers, and a lot of times it just gets stuck. So not the biggest thing in the world, and I'm sure it will loosen up, but I don't know if it's a spec issue or maybe some tolerance stacking, or the fact that maybe it's just a little bit thin. And if you actually look right here, you can see just how easy the polymer in there flexes even all the way up to higher on the grip. And that will cause some issues, especially with my people with bigger and stronger hands. So you just need to pay attention to that. Don't death grip it when you are doing your magazine exchanges. Now, my final thoughts and the price point on the MC9. You can get this thing for $399 depending on the color you want, whether you want the black or the FDE. Now, for what you get out of the Canik series, especially this one that they finally got the size right, great trigger, good reliability, good durability, feels great in the hand, functions awesome, accurate as it gets, even out to those longer distances, 75 yards. I think the thing is an absolute steal, and this is the size that I have been waiting for Canik to come out with, which is why this is the only Canik I own, because I just had to have it. And with all that being said, I really want to know your thoughts down in the comments, because I had a ton of you messaging me, emailing me, and leaving comments that you wanted to see the review of the MC9. So I know this thing was going to be super popular out there. So that is what I've got for you today on the Canik MC9. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really is a huge help to the channel. Thank you to Optics Planet for the EPS carry here. Thank you to all of my Patreons. You make a lot of this happen. This is a Patreon purchased pistol here, so this video would not have happened if it was not for the Patreon. So show them some love in the comments as well. Get out there, keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.